when you say weeks, not months, how many weeks?
Well, I think I've given you a very clear indication that if the government is going to introduce legislation in October on NDNA, that's when I would expect the government to act on their commitment in NDNA to protect Northern Ireland's place within the UK internal market. So
you will pull your ministers out before November if this is not done in October. Is that accurate?
I think that's the sort of timescale we're working to now, Steve.
Allister with us today. Well, he did give a deadline of end of October, Jim, but I guess politics is about what you achieve at the end of the day. And if that means he's got to give this a few more weeks, is that not mature politics?
Well, I think politics is also about being seen, if you make a threat or a promise, being seen to deliver it. Because if you don't, you do two things. You damage your own credibility and you signal to those you're seeking to influence with that threat or promise that you're not to be taken seriously. And I think that's Jeffrey Donaldson's difficulty. He was very clear on the 9th of September and the 10th of September in the Irish Times that if the government did not legislate in October to restore Northern Ireland's place within the UK internal market, then his actions of pulling his ministers would follow. And that, of course, is on the back of what the protocol has done to our constitutional position. Now, that was a very clear promise or threat. If he doesn't deliver it, then he signals to Brussels and to London that that was so much hot air. So what about his next threat or promise? Is it anything more than hot air? I think that's the difficulty for a politician who makes those threats and promises. And yet Northern Ireland continues at the end of October to have the Irish Sea border. The puts posts continue, the checks continue, and the thing that the DUP said wouldn't continue is continuing. The DUP continues to be in government with Sinn Féin. So I think he has got a difficulty. Now, the whole purpose, of course, of the threat, as I understood it, was to concentrate minds, to make Brussels realise that far from bolstering the Belfast Agreement, they were undermining and threatening the institutions, because if the institutions ceased to work, then there entirely fell away their contention that protocol was necessary to sustain those institutions. And of course, it's right that the protocol is undermining our position in the UK, and therefore any unionist should be prepared to take whatever legitimate actions are necessary to restore the situation of the equilibrium which has been lost. So I think Sir Geoffrey, by not delivering, has undermined his own position and indeed undermined the wider unionist position. And it's interesting that the government clearly is moved by the Sinn Féin threat of June to make the promise on Irish language, and they're now going to deliver on that, but clearly we're not moved by the September threat of Jeffrey Donaldson on the protocol. Now, what does that tell us?
Well, it'll mean very little if there is such change to the protocol. If Jeffrey Donaldson's able to deliver that in December, look, his deadline at the end of October might have been broken, but that will not matter, will it? If the DUP achieve their political objectives in December.
Yes, the big word in that is the smallest word. If, what are we talking about? The triggering of Article 16. Well, Article 16 is not an answer. Article 16 just stalls the thing, and indeed it then requires further negotiation. And indeed, it depends what is triggered in Article 16 to specify the parts of the protocol that you are, in those terms, suspending. That could be small, it could be great. So unless until you see that, you don't even know what the effect of triggering Article 16 is. But the point is this, that if you make a threat and if you're real and serious about it and then don't deliver on it, what message do you deliver to those at the other end of that threat? You deliver the message, I'm not serious, I'm only playing the optics here, and that's not going to satisfy the situation, because the situation is, from a unionist perspective, very, very dire. We have been pushed onto the window ledge of the union. We now have a situation where GB is a third country, where EU laws govern us, laws we don't make, and EU customs code applies. We now are in a situation where to import from our own country, from one part to another, you're importing as if it was Bolivia or Brazil, a third country. Now, that is intolerable. And when the government talks about the ECJ is important, but it's not the end of it all. the ECJ only comes into play because your EU laws are applicable in Northern Ireland. If EU laws were not applicable in Northern Ireland, then there'd be nothing about the ECJ. So that is the root. That's where the X has to be applied, to the root of the problem. The fact that it's EU laws would govern 2/3 of our economy. That has to be removed. And unless that is removed, then we're going nowhere. The ultimate test is always the same. At the end of all this, are we still in a foreign single market for goods, a foreign customs code, foreign VAT regime overseen by foreign laws, and a foreign Supreme Court? And if those things don't change, then nothing of worth has changed.
It shouldn't be pitted against, Sinn Féin's objectives to be getting legislation to protect the rights for people who want to use Irish language, though, should it? It's not one or the other. Irish language, and indeed Ulster Scots and other language provision, those are rights that have been promised within the New Decade, New Approach agreement. So they should be delivered upon.
I'm sorry. New Decade, New Approach supposedly promised lots of things. And they did make a promise about the internal market, which has not been delivered. They did make a promise, and it must be remembered, and your listeners should remember, that the language package, sadly, was agreed by the DUP. Indeed, a couple of years ago, Edwin Poots boasted how much he had helped draft it. And so the language package is something that the DUP's fingerprints are on. Now, I never agreed with it. I think it is totally detrimental to the future going forward because it gives primacy to Irish. It makes Irish an official language, which English isn't even officially in Northern Ireland. It creates an all-powerful commissioner who, with a statutory obligation to enhance the use of Irish across the public service, and the enhancing of the Irish across the public service enhances the opportunities for those who are Irish speakers over those who are not in gaining jobs in the public service. And there is nothing comparable on the other side of that formula. So it is something which is detrimental to the unionist position in Northern Ireland. It is not something that any unionist party should be tolerating. The DUP has woken up a bit late to it, but they do need to stand firm on that issue and make sure that that is not also put upon us, and that is being put upon us in order to meet the Sinn Féin demand, which was if you don't do it, there'll be no Stormont, and the government is going to deliver. Jeffrey Donaldson said, if you don't do what I need on the protocol, there'll be no Stormont, and the government's not delivering. So you can draw your own.
Jim Allister, thank you very much indeed, Jim. Morning to you.